So we have officially reached the end of the regular season. We've just got our bowl game left to play, which we do have a bowl game. That's why this video is happening. But before we do that, we do have to go over some of the stats around the league and then also our team, obviously. So our team, through the regular season, obviously these are their pre-bowl game stats, so just add on whatever these guys do in the bowl games. Passing side of things, Logan Smothers, 1,050 yards through the air, 7 TDs, 6 INTs. Obviously, we'd like to see the INTs to touchdowns ratio be a bit, better next season, but all in all, I was pretty impressed for the most part with Logan Smothers. Obviously, we're not a pass team, so I don't really care too much about what he does through the air, but, he definitely doesn't have the strongest arm, but he definitely gets the job done. Adrian Martinez, 547 yards, 4 TDs, 2 INTs in the games that he played. On the rushing side of things, you had Ramir Johnson, who had 175 carries for 1,122 yards. That's 6.4 a pop, and 5 touchdowns, while Smothers had 137 carries for 501 yards and 11 touchdowns. But obviously that factors into how many times he's been sacked throughout the season, obviously losing yards on those plays. Gabe Ervin Jr., 36 carries, 166 yards, 4 TDs. Austin Allen had 3 TDs on the ground, and then Brody Belt and Xavier Betts each had a touchdown on the ground as well. The receiving game, obviously not very impressive. 30 receptions for 317 yards was Ramir Johnson, 4 TDs through the air, and then the rest of the yards are pretty evenly spread out between Torrey and Allen and Oliver Martin, and Omar Manning, Brody Belt, Xavier Betts, and Gabe Ervin Jr. On the defensive side of things, you had JoJo Daman, who was the leader of our defense, and he was the tackle leader, 85 of them, 17 for loss, 2 INTs as well. Will Honas had 81 tackles, 16 for loss, and then Dismuke, Williams, and Garrett Nelson all had respectable tackle numbers as well. Ty Robinson finishes the year with 12 sacks, led the team, obviously. Damon Daniels had 5 sacks, Still had 3, Garrett Nelson had 2, and then Rogers, Dismuke, and Williams all had 1 individually. While the interception leaders on the team were Quentin Newsome and JoJo Daman, they both had 2 on the season. Obviously, we could have had more, but it seemed like, I mentioned this a few times throughout the season, it seemed like there was a lot of times through the games where we had an INT opportunity where it just turned into a pass deflection instead, and it could have, turned the tide of the game in our favor, but instead, it, gave the offense another chance, and then they go down and they score or whatever. But it did seem like a lot of that happened this season. So now let's go over who is in the conference championship games. I was a total idiot, and I guess I forgot to show the actual winners of these conference championship games. I do remember most of them who won them, but I could have sworn that I recorded who won them, but I guess I didn't. But with that being said, Miami of Ohio and Central Michigan was the MAC championship. Central Michigan did end up winning that. UAB Western Kentucky was the Conference USA. Western Kentucky won that game. Bama and Georgia. Bama won that. In the SEC, the Pac-12 was San Diego State and Boise State. I don't know who won that, actually. That's the Pac-12. That's Mountain West. What am I saying? That's the Mountain West. ACC is Pitt and Clemson. I believe Pitt won that game. Oregon and Utah was the Pac-12. Utah ended up winning that game. And then the Big Ten, very weird, Purdue and Michigan. The Big Ten West was just so much of a mess in division that 5-7 Purdue ended up being in the Big Ten West. And they ended up being in the Big Ten championship game. And I believe, Michigan won this game, I believe. But you'll see that Purdue get it into a major bowl game. But anyways, so 5-7 Purdue, they are the Big Ten West top team because they went 4-2 in the division, while 7-5 Wisconsin, although with a better overall record, only went 2-4 in the division. And then you had both us and Minnesota, who went 6-6. But we went 3-3 in the division. And as far as where we are projected to be before the conference championship games get played, we are projected to be in the Red Box Bowl against USC, so we shall see if that's where we end up post this week. But before we do that, I do want to go over the All-American teams, the first team, second team All-American, the All-Freshman team, then of course the All-Big Ten teams as well. They're going to be scrolling by on the screen. I'm just going to go over some of the guys worth mentioning. First team All-Americans, you had both Bailey Zappi and Jareth Stearns from the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. You had Breece Hall of the Iowa State Cyclones, who is the #1 team in the country heading into bowl week. The freshman tight end Brock Bowers, he was on the first team All-American. Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. And then Western Kentucky even had a defensive player, 74 overall sophomore cornerback Beanie Bishop. What a name. And then on the second team All-Americans, you had Peyton Thorne from Michigan State. Obviously, they had a very good season. Isaiah Hamilton, wide receiver from San Jose State. That's a Mountain West school. And then our guy Will Honas of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, second team All-American. And then the all-freshman team, you had Stanford super young star QB Tanner McKee, Trevion Henderson of Ohio State, of course, Brock Bowers, he was first team All-American, so of course he's going to be all-freshman. And then I'm pretty sure a lot of these linemen on this list, there's a lot of like Georgia and Alabama linemen, and I'm pretty sure they're just on there because they maybe got a few snaps due to injury or, guys being tired or whatever. So I guess the game just looks at them and they're like, oh, they're an 83 overall freshman lineman because they play for Bama, but they get the all freshman team over like say a freshman who plays all year long for, I don't know, Miami of Ohio or something. I don't know how exactly it works out, but I'm pretty sure at the same positions they had guys on the freshman team they had on the All-American team. So it doesn't really make sense that they had like two guys at each individual lineman position on different teams. But anyways, moving on to the All-Big Ten side, the first team we had Ty Robinson, Will Honas, and JoJo Dahmen all made All-Big first team. And then All-Big second team, you had Deontay Williams Sr. and Marcel Dismuke. So all three of our safeties made it in JoJo Dahmen, Deontay Williams, and Marcel Dismuke. All of them made in their individual All-Big Ten teams, whether that's first or second. And now taking a look at the Heisman Trophy winner for this year of college football, it is Breece Hall of the Iowa State Cyclones. Like I said, they're the #1 team in the country, and he is a big reason why. 1,233 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns, and then 531 yards through the air with 6 touchdowns in the receiving game. The runner-up was Casey Thompson of Texas. And the national championship, spoiler alert, is not the winner, but spoiler alert, who's in it is Iowa State, Texas. So 2 Big 12 teams in the national championship. Kind of crazy, but it's the #1 guy in the Heisman and the #2 guy in the Heisman race going at it in the national championship game. While Casey Thompson did indeed win the Maxwell Trophy, though, while the rest of the awards are just going to scroll by pretty quickly. JoJo Dahmen did not win the Bednarik Award, unfortunately. I believe he finished like 5th in the voting, and I want to say like a safety from TCU ended up winning that award. And then if we take a look at who the leaders around the league for the stats are, Bailey Zappi led the entire NCAA in passing, or league, I should say, in college football. He led the entirety of college football in passing. The rushing leader was Bailey Zappi, or the rushing leader was Cameron Carroll of Tulane. The receiving leader was Bailey Zappi's go-to man, Jareth Stearns. He had almost 2,000 yards of receiving. Defensive numbers seem to be a little bit busted. We have the top 3 guys for tackles by a pretty wide margin, and then Robinson was the sack leader as well. And I feel like all of Robinson's sacks came as like an AI versus AI thing. Like it wasn't even me controlling him and like cheesing the AI offensive line or something. It was just him getting sacks. So it's not like I was cheesing it, so there's not really anything I can do to, stop that from happening. I guess I can mess with the sliders or see if I can mess with the sliders, but with the tackle numbers especially, there's not anything I can do for that. It just seems like they're going to be busted, but I don't really care too much about that. All the INT leaders were C. Boswell of Miami of Ohio and C. Davis of Hawaii. Also, our head coach, Wilbur Fisher, has leveled up, so we put that point into the opener, so we get some extra recruiting points to kick off next season. And now, revealing who we play in our bowl game, it is going to be the champions of the MAC, the Central Michigan Chippewas, in the Quick Lane Bowl is who we are playing. We've definitely got the better team on paper because we are a Big Ten team and they're a MAC team. They've just got a pretty solid passing attack, though. They went 9-4 overall, but they did go 9-1 in the MAC. So all their wins are in conference. They were not able to win a single out-of-conference game, as they couldn't even beat Georgia Southern or UNLV in a non-conference game. So we'll see how they fare against a Big Ten team in a bowl game. But if we take a look at their stats, Daniel Richardson is their QB. He's like a 5'10 sophomore scrambler, but he did have a great year in the MAC. 2,609 yards, 24 touchdowns to 6 INTs, while Lou Nichols III, what a name, is their back. He is 13 touchdowns and 1,500 yards on the ground. Receiving game is pretty evenly spread out between Ja'Cory Sullivan, Khalil Pimpleton, and their tight end, I believe his name is Joel Wilson. And then their best defensive players are Troy Brown and Troy Hairston III. They're both like edge rusher sort of guys who get a lot of tackles and also sacks. And now before we actually hop into the game, I do want to just mention that you're going to notice some things that are per se weird in the game. One of them being the end zones are going to look like unrendered, sort of. I don't know how else to describe it. They look like the texture just didn't render in. That's exactly what happened. The texture for the end zones didn't render in, so it's just a bunch of like purple and green and blue and red, all sort of colors mixed together. It's something to do with the NVIDIA graphics card. It like doesn't work well with the mod only in this particular instance though. And the only way it seemed to be able to fix it was like roll back the emulator like 15 versions or something like that, but even more than that because the emulator gets updated like every single day it seems like, but I just didn't feel like doing that, so we're going to deal with that just for the one bowl game. And then the other thing you're going to notice is that we are in the Quick Lane Bowl, which I don't believe is played in Detroit, but we are playing at Ford Field in Detroit, and the center field logo or the midfield logo, I should say, is going to say the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl. So, definitely kind of messed up, kind of weird, but I'm sure that has something to do with the mod combo with the game. So we're going to have to deal with it, so just, We have reached bowl season, and it is time for the Central Michigan Chippewas, the champions of the Mid-American Conference, taking on the Cornhuskers of Nebraska here in this extremely serious and extremely reputable Quick Lane Bowl. We're going to start things off here with the Cornhuskers on offense as Logan Smothers in the shotgun. He's going to run the veer, and he's not going to be able to pick up any yards there. Makes the right read, but Central Michigan just plays it perfectly. So 2nd and 11 upcoming here for the Cornhuskers now. Once again, Smothers, read option this time, only picks up a couple, sets up a 3rd and slightly more manageable 8. Here for Nebraska, 3 receivers out to the left, Smothers, nobody open, so he's just going to roll out to his right, and he's going to tuck it and go. He picks up the first down with his legs. New set it down for the Cornhuskers. Couple plays later at 2nd and 7, running the option, pitch to Gabe Ervin Jr., and he's going to be flattened right before the first down marker, so it's 3rd and 2. Now to the pistol, Smothers going to the sidelines and laying out for it as Oliver Martin picks up the first down with the nice catch. So running the option once again, and Smothers cannot get the pitch off, so he's going to lose 2 yards as it's now a 2nd and 12. Here for the Huskers, this time option again. Smothers keeps it, and he's going to pick up a bunch of yards. The big chunk play to set up a 3rd and short 1 here for the Huskers. They go right back to the ground game. This time it's a handoff to Johnson, and he moves the chains for the offense. So now split shotgun formation here. Smothers sees his man way too late going down on that wheel route, and he gets it to him right as the defender gets there, so it's going to be incomplete. 2nd and 10 now, handoff Johnson. He's going to get the handoff, and it's going to be 3rd and 4 here. 6 yards makes it a slightly more manageable down. And then Smothers going for the screen. Irvin stopped short, actually loses some yards. So Nebraska's going to have to settle for a field goal here to start off this game as they jump out to a 3-0 lead as Connor Culp knocks that one through. We pick things up with Daniel Richardson and the Chippewas now on offense. Ace 2 tight end formation, handoff Lou Nichols III. He's going to be wrapped up by Will Daniel Honas after picking up 9 yards on the ground. So 2nd and 1 here. Richardson running the option, pitches, and that's somehow not a fumble. I don't know what happened there, some sort of glitch, but apparently that wasn't a fumble when he pitches off his own, or off our guy, and I don't even know. But they don't get the first down. Lou Nichols gets stopped by Ben Still, so they punt it back to us, and Logan Smothers is going to run the read option. He's keeping it here, and he's got the first down as he converts on 2nd and 5, gets way more than he needs. We're at about 2 minutes here left in the first quarter, and Smothers is going to fire into Torrey there, rifles it into a small hole, but instead it's going to be incomplete, but we do get the first down as they commit a face mask penalty, so that'll push us into Chippewa territory. Smothers running the option, pitches to Johnson, he gets the first down. We're inside the 1:30 mark. Couple plays later, it's now 22 seconds left here in the first quarter as Smothers is going to be sacked on 3rd down, so that's at a field goal range, way out of field goal range now. So Central Michigan gets the ball back on offense here in the second quarter now, basically backed up on their own end zone, and Richardson going to be tackled after only picking up 2 yards, trying to avoid the pressure there. So 2nd and 8 here, handoff Nichols. He's going to get the ball across the marker, and that's going to be a new set of downs here for the Chippewas. Under center once again, it's Richardson, handoff Nichols, and he picks up another first down here on 2nd and 9 to move the chains. So now new set of downs here, under center once again, this time going to the air. Richardson finds his tight end, Joel Wilson, and that's going to be a first down, as they are seamlessly moving the chains here on this Cornhusker defense. So Richardson once again going to the air. He finds his other tight end, Bukowski. That's 20 yards through the air. They're now pretty deep inside Nebraska territory. Handoff Nichols. He loses 2 yards as Phildarius Payne tackles him in the backfield. So 2nd and 12 here. Richardson going to the corner. He's got Dallas Dixon, who catches it right before the first down marker. It's 3rd and 1. It's going to be a handoff, Nichols to the outside, and he manages to pick up just barely that 1 yard to move the chains. So it's a 1st and 10 here, about like the 16-yard line. They get to Khalil Pimpleton, and he's going to find his way into the end zone. Khalil Pimpleton touchdown, and the Central Michigan Chippewas have taken the lead in this one, 7-3. So about 4:50 left in the quarter. Take a look at this one-handed catch by Samori Torrey. Only gets 5 yards, though. So 2nd and 5 here. Smothers keeps it on the read option, and he gets the big first down chunk play. So he's about at midfield now, a little bit short of midfield. Martin motions into the backfield. It's the option. They pitch to Martin, and the receiver gets some rushing yards there, 7 of them, and sets up a 3rd and 1. Smothers read option once again. He goes up the middle, and he moves the chains for the Huskers. So we're inside the 3-minute mark now here in the first half, 2:30 about. Smothers going to the air, nobody open. He rolls out, and he picks up the first down with his legs. Crosses that marker, gets a new set of downs. So very next play here, out of the shotgun, 2 running backs to his left and his right, and he's going to try to roll out, does not get any, and he's actually going to be hurt on the play, had a bruised ankle. So Adrian Martinez goes come in for a couple plays here as he hands off to Vermeer Johnson, picks up 5, makes it a more manageable 3rd and 7. About 1:20 left in the quarter as Martinez fires a strike right to Vermeer Johnson, and that's going to move the chains. But now Smothers is back in the game here a few plays later, 3rd and 7, rolling out. That ankle looks fine as he tucks it, and he finds the end zone. Logan Smothers, touchdown Cornhuskers, and now they're back on top as they find the end zone for the first time. It's now a 10-7 game, as that will be your score heading into halftime here. So we're going to pick things up here with the Chippewas on offense here in the second half. Richardson in the shotgun, the snap, scanning. He's going to tuck it and go up the middle, pick up 6 yards on the ground, sets up a 2nd and 4 in the shotgun once again. Nobody's open, so he's just going to tuck it and go once again, spins out of a tackle, makes it a 3rd and 2 after only picking up 2 yards. Once again out of the shotgun, this time handoff Nichols, and he's going nowhere. Only gets 1 yard. It's a 4th and 1. They're going to punt it back to Nebraska. So Smothers here, empty backfield, but Johnson motions into it, and it's going to be a pitch to him, and he loses a yard, actually. So 2nd and 11 here as the Chippewas get a negative play there. Torre, fake handoff to him on the motion. Smothers keeps, and he's got a bunch of yards up the middle, and he's finally tackled after high-stepping out of a tackle. After 17 yards on the ground, full house pistol now. Smothers running the option. Once again, up the middle. He's got a big gain, crosses into CMU territory. So the Huskers moving the ball here on offense with the option. Running it again, handoff Johnson. Up the middle, picks up 9. Sets up a 2nd and 1 here. Out of the shotgun, Smothers, Irvin in the backfield now. Read option. He's got a seam up the middle as Smothers keeps it, and he's going to be tackled inside the red zone. 1st and 10 at about the 20-yard line. Or about the 15-yard line, rather, and Smothers goes to the end zone through the air, and he's going to find Austin Allen. That's actually his first receiving touchdown of the season for the big fella, and it's now a 17-7 game. So the Chippewas on offense now, handoff Lou Nichols, wrapped up by Honus. 3rd and 6 upcoming now for the Chippewas. Out of the pistol, it's Richardson, handoff Nichols the 3rd, and he's going to have himself a 1st down as they move the chains, pick up a new set of downs. Under center now, Richardson dropping back. Here comes the pressure, just takes off, and he's going to pick up the 1st down with his legs. They don't run the option. They run the nobody's open after 0.3 seconds offense, and then we're just going to take off for 8 yards. That's what they do, is Richardson does it again. Tucks and runs, picks up the 1st down, just goes right up the middle through the offensive line, and now they 2nd and 4 here for Central Michigan. Barely gets that pass off as he almost gets hit, and he finds Keegan Kosu, another tight end there for a 1st down, sets up a 1st and goal here. Richardson dropping back. He's going to go to the corner, and he has Ja'Cory Sullivan as Central Michigan is now going to make this a 1-score game, 17-14 after the extra point. Cornhuskers back on offense now. Smothers rolling out to avoid pressure. He's got a seam down the sidelines. He's at the 50, and he runs out of bounds basically right at the 45. So next play, Smothers, handoff Johnson. He goes up the middle. That's another 1st down for the Cornhuskers. They're now inside Central Michigan territory, running the option. Smothers keeps. That's another 1st down for the offense as they just keep moving this chain with that rushing offense. About 1 minute left now in the quarter. Smothers, handoff Johnson. Nothing going there on 3rd and 4. Only gets 2 yards, so it's 4th and 2, and they're going to keep the offense on the field. It's going to be an option play, and Smothers cannot get the pitch off. He's going to lose 1 and turn it over on downs. So now, very late in the 3rd quarter here, Central Michigan takes over with the ball, and he's going to be sacked. Daniel Richardson, that is by, of course, Ty Robinson. 2nd and 14 upcoming. Now Richardson under center, dropping back. He's going to take off, and he's going to be tackled by the face mask. So that's going to erase the sack right away, essentially, as they get a new set of downs to work with. But then 1 play later, it's 2nd and 10 here. Richardson finds Joel Wilson, picks up 5. 3rd and 5 now. Here for the Chippewas. Richardson screens Ja'Cory Sullivan. He gets some blocks, makes a couple guys miss, and he's out in the open field. Nothing but green in front of him, and that's a huge touchdown for the Central Michigan Chippewas. Ja'Cory Sullivan, huge play to the end zone, and that gives the Chippewas a 21-17 lead in this game as the Cornhuskers have blown their 17-7 lead here as it's now into the 4th quarter. As you saw, Johnson get 9 yards on the ground. Now a read option as Smothers keeps, goes up the middle, and he's going to cross into CMU territory. New set of downs here. They're trying to just run the ball, keep the clock moving. Johnson sheds a tackler. He breaks free. He's at about the 20, and the 15 is where he's going to get dragged down deep inside CMU territory. Man in motion, handoff Torre, and he's going to lose 2 yards as CMU makes a big play there. So 2nd and 12 here. Smothers keeps on the veer, bounces off a guy, picks up a few yards. 3rd and 4, more manageable 3rd down to go here. Play action, Smothers sees nobody open, swings it out into the flats, gets Irvin, and he's going to punch his way through the 1st down marker, sets up a 1st and goal. Out of the pistol, handoff Johnson. He's going to maybe pick up a couple, picks up 1, sets up a 2nd and goal here out of the pistol full house. Triple option, Smothers keeps, punches it in, and he's got his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. As the Cornhuskers are back on top here, 24-21. It's a 3-point lead. Chippewas take over on offense now. 3:29 left in the quarter. Richardson, here he goes again, tucking it, going up the middle. Does not get the first as JoJo Dahmen wraps him up after 7. Sets up a 2nd and 3 here. Now out of the shotgun, empty backfield, going to the sidelines. It's floated and picked by Garrett Nelson as the big fella picks it off, and that's going to go going the other way now here for Nebraska. About 3 minutes left in the quarter now, or the game, I should say. Smothers, handoff Johnson on 1st down, picks up 5. So 2nd and 5 now here for the Cornhuskers. Smothers, handoff Johnson again, kicks it to the outside, picks up 2, and it's only going to be a 3rd and 4. I'm not really sure how the math works on that after picking up 2, but then once again, right back to Johnson, and he somehow does not get the first, and Nebraska opts to just go for the field goal, make it a 6-point game here as Culp knocks that one down. So about 2 minutes left in the quarter, or in the game. Central Michigan back on offense here, down by 6. They need a touchdown and an extra point to take the lead. But the first play there, Darius Payne gets in the backfield, makes it a 2nd and 12 here. Richardson scanning, and there he goes. 0.1 seconds have passed, so he's taken off, and he's got himself the 1st down. So he crosses that marker, gets themselves a new set of downs. About 1:38 left in the game now. Richardson dropping back. He's going to go to the sidelines, and he's picked again, this time by Cam Taylor-Britt. And the Cornhuskers now are in perfect position here as they're just going to run some clock out. All they need is basically 1 first down, and they're going to get it pretty much right away as Ramir Johnson breaks into the open field, and he's going to be tackled deep inside CMU territory, and that'll end this game as the Nebraska Cornhuskers, thanks to some clutch late-game INTs and some rushing attack offense, they knock off the Central Michigan Chippewas as they still have not won a game out of the MAC, and Nebraska wins a bowl game in Wilbur Fisher's first season as head coach of the Cornhuskers. Just an explosive offense today from Nebraska as they picked up 424 yards of total offense. That's 51 carries for 372 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, 52 of them through the air, 7 and 11 through the air with a touchdown to Austin Allen, and they were just efficient on 3rd down, converting 8 of 12 on the day. Completely dominating possession, too. 21 minutes and 31 seconds to only Central Michigan's 10 minutes and 29 seconds. Logan Smothers, obviously a huge day on the ground running the option. 25 carries, 207 yards. That'll bump him up to like 700 yards on the ground this season. He entered this game with like 500. That's now 700 on the season for him. 2 touchdowns. Ramir Johnson, huge day as well. 19 carries, 141 yards for him. And just a great all-around showing from this Cornhuskers team to jump their record to 7-6 as they finish above 500 here in Wilbur Fisher's first season. And now before we wrap up the episode, I do want to go around and actually show the best of the best bowl games here, ones that I thought were worthy of mentioning here. The first one is the RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Not a very reputable bowl, but it was between 2 very fun non-Power 5 schools here in Coastal Carolina and Western Kentucky. Obviously, Bailey Zappi taking on the spread option of Coastal Carolina, and Coastal Carolina won pretty handedly, 42-21. And then you've got the Rose Bowl, because I believe Purdue actually won the Big Ten. They somehow beat Michigan State, I think it was, or Michigan, whoever they played in the Big Ten championship, I already forget. I think they won that game somehow, and then they got absolutely Their offense did nothing against Utah. Their defense was strong, but they couldn't do anything on offense as they lose 17-6 to Utah in the Rose Bowl. You had the Fiesta Bowl, which was two American Conference teams, Cincinnati and SMU. Cincinnati won that. They were one of the best teams in the country all year long. They even had a couple weeks where they were the number one team in the country. And then you had the Sugar Bowl, which was Michigan and Alabama. And Michigan somehow just absolutely throttled Alabama. I mean, that's how you know this is a video game, because Michigan just... they stomped Alabama. That would never happen in real life, but it happened in this game. The Cotton Bowl was Michigan State and Baylor, and Michigan State did end up winning that one to improve their record to 12-2. I believe those are updated records at the bowls, but they win 35-24 over Baylor, who was the number one team in the country for a couple weeks earlier on in the season. And then you had the Orange Bowl, where Florida absolutely stomped Pittsburgh, who I believe was the champion of I think they won the ACC, but they were no match for the SEC of Florida, and they just won 45-10. And then you had the big one, the national championship, Texas and Iowa State, and Casey Thompson ends up coming out on top over Breece Hall's Iowa State as the Cyclones. Great story being the number one team heading into the final week, but they are not able to get the job done as they lose 38-20 to the Texas Longhorns. So the Longhorns are going to be the defending champions heading into next season. So with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Nebraska Cornhuskers Dynasty. Next time, we're going to be going over the offseason and then probably the preseason as well, heading into Season 2. I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.